In the heart of Blackthorn Hollow, where the mist clung to the earth like a spectral shroud, the ancient mansion of Gravewood Manor stood as a sentinel of dread. Its jagged silhouette pierced the fog, its crumbling walls whispering secrets of a past drenched in sorrow. The villagers spoke of it in hushed tones, their voices trembling with a mix of fear and morbid curiosity. Gravewood Manor was no ordinary house. It was a tomb of forgotten horrors, its very stones steeped in the anguish of those who had dared to cross its threshold. At the edge of the dense, shadow-laden woods, the manor loomed like a monstrous beast, its broken windows staring out like hollow eyes. The villagers warned their children to stay away, for within its decaying walls lay an object of unspeakable power, a music box known as the Phantom's Melody. Crafted from rare black wood and adorned with intricate gold inlays, it pulsed with an eerie energy as if it harbored a soul, and indeed it did. The soul of Elias Grayson, a musician whose life had been torn apart by love, betrayal, and despair. His final act had been to pour his torment into a haunting melody, binding his spirit to the box for eternity. One chill-laden autumn evening, when the wind howled like a banshee and the fog thickened into a suffocating veil, a young girl named Eliza Harper ventured into the manor. Her curiosity burned brighter than the lantern she carried, and her spirit was as unyielding as the ancient oaks that surrounded the village. The villagers had warned her of curses and restless spirits, but Eliza was undeterred. She had to know the truth. The manor greeted her with a groan as the heavy door creaked open, its hinges screaming like a dying creature. Inside, the air was thick with the stench of decay, and the silence pressed against her ears like a suffocating weight. Eliza climbed the rickety staircase to the attic, each step groaning beneath her feet. The attic was a graveyard of forgotten relics, tattered books, broken furniture, and layers of dust that spoke of decades of neglect. And there, amidst the debris, lay the music box. Her breath hitched as she reached for it, her fingers trembling. The carvings on the box seemed to shift in the lantern's flickering light as if alive. She wound it carefully, and as the first notes of the melody filled the air, a shiver ran down her spine. The tune was hauntingly beautiful, a symphony of sorrow and longing that seemed to reach into her very soul. She couldn't tear herself away, even as the melody grew more intense, weaving a tale of love, betrayal, and heartbreak. That night, the melody followed Eliza into her dreams. She found herself in a grand, dimly lit hall, where a pale, gaunt figure sat at a piano. His fingers danced across the keys with a grace that belied the emptiness in his eyes. He played the same haunting melody, and as the music swelled, Eliza felt his pain as if it were her own. The phantom story unfolded before her, a tale of a love betrayed, a life shattered, and a soul unable to find peace. Night after night, Eliza returned to the attic, drawn by an inexplicable connection to Elias Grayson. Each time she wound the music box, the melody revealed more of his tragic tale. The villagers began to notice a change in her. Her once bright eyes now carried a shadow, and her laughter grew rare. They warned her to stay away from the cursed mansion, but Eliza couldn't resist. Elias's story had become a part of her, and she felt compelled to see it through to the end. One fateful evening, as the moon hung low in the sky and the wind whispered through the trees like a mournful lament, the melody took a darker turn. The music box revealed Elias's final moments, A betrayal so profound it drove him to madness. In his despair, he composed the haunting melody, a final act of catharsis before taking his own life in the very attic where Eliza now stood. His soul, bound to the music box, sought solace by sharing his story with those who dared to listen. As the final notes of the melody faded, Eliza felt a cold presence behind her. The air grew icy, and her breath came in visible puffs. She turned slowly, her heart pounding in her chest, to see Elias Grayson standing before her. His form was translucent, his eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. He reached out a ghostly hand, his voice a chilling whisper that seemed to echo in her mind. "Free me," he pleaded, his words carrying the weight of centuries of torment. "Bury the music box in consecrated ground and release my soul." Eliza's hands trembled as she clutched the music box, its cold surface seeming to seep into her skin. She nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "I will." The journey to the village churchyard was a blur. The fog clung to her like a shroud, and the wind howled as if warning her to turn back. But Eliza pressed on, her determination unwavering. She reached the ancient oak tree in the churchyard, its gnarled branches twisting like skeletal fingers against the night sky. She dug a shallow grave beneath the tree, her hands numb from the cold. As she placed the music box in the earth, the melody played one last time, its haunting strains echoing through the night. The ground trembled beneath her feet, and a cold wind swept through the churchyard, carrying with it the faint sound of a mournful wail. The air seemed to crackle with energy, and for a moment, Eliza felt as though the world itself was holding its breath. Then with a final shuddering sigh, the wind died down and the night fell silent. Eliza felt a weight lift from her shoulders, the sorrow that had plagued her dissipating like mist in the morning sun. She looked down at the grave, now marked by a simple stone, and whispered, "Rest in peace, Elias." The villagers of Blackthorn Hollow, witnessing the change in Eliza, marveled at her bravery and the mysterious power of the phantom's melody. The mansion, once a place of dread, became a symbol of redemption and hope. Eliza's tale spread far and wide, a testament to the enduring power of music and the resilience of the human spirit. Yet, on quiet nights, when the wind whispered through, the trees and the fog rolled in from the woodlands, some claimed they could still hear the faint strains of Elias's song, a reminder of his tragic tale and the brave girl who had freed his soul. And in the attic of Gravewood Manor, where the shadows danced and the air was thick with the scent of decay, the music box lay silent, its dark tale finally at rest. Eliza, forever changed by her encounter, continued to seek out the mysteries of the world, her heart lighter and her spirit unyielding. But she never forgot the phantom's melody, a haunting reminder of the thin veil between the living and the dead, and the power of love, redemption, and the unbreakable strength of the human soul. And so, the legend of the phantom's melody lived on, not as a tale of sorrow, but as a story of courage, compassion, and the enduring light that can emerge from even the darkest of shadows. But deep within the hearts of the villagers, a question lingered. Was Elias truly at peace? Or did his melody still echo in the hidden corners of the world, waiting for another soul to listen?